Hello, lovelies, and welcome to Sunday, April 12th, Breaking the Block. I am your host today, independent author, Mama Maggie Moore, stroke survivor, migraine overcomer, and one of the more prolific authors you've never heard of. Today, I have my lovely, lovely friends with me. I have Sako Toomey, author of Flambeau and artist and belly dancer and witchy twitchy extraordinaire. And we also have the lovely Don Michael Brooks, who is having a book coming this week. So Saka, why don't you start us in, and then Michael, you can tell us about your new book. What is going on?
Sorry, I'm trying to unmute my mic.
I think I'm trying to unmute you at the same time.
Hi, folks. I'm Sako Toomey. I write horror under the names Cass Voight. As Maggie said, I am the author of Flambeau and Shadow of the Fae, and I'm in a bunch of anthologies and Hope's Chest and a bunch of stuff. So if you are interested in like tracking my professional journal, it is on Substack. I am Sako Toomey, aka Psycho Sako. So just Google that and it'll come up, and you should drop a line sometime. I would love to hear from you.
And hi, everybody. I am Michael Dawn Brooks, and I am the author of the Heart of the Wayshower saga. And Misty, Fairchild, and the Heart of Allignment is available for pre-order and dropping on Wednesday. It is going live Wednesday. It's available through Kindle Unlimited, and you can get the paperback anywhere books are sold. So yes. And also the second book, Adam Rowan and the Heart of the Mountain, is also available for pre-order. It will be going live May 15th. So and that one I have.
That's my birthday.
Oh, your birthday! Happy birthday! Yes! And I will actually be having a book signing the very next day, May 16th, at Pages for Ages in San Antonio on Bandera. So at 3 o'clock, so folks can come see me then and purchase copies of both Misty and Adam.
So exciting.
It's very exciting. It's like, my husband is all about, you got to engage more on Threads. So like I've been Threads engagement lately.
Yeah, we won't talk about how I feel about Threads.
At least it's not Twitter.
I feel like all the toxic people from Twitter and Goodreads went to Threads.
Really? Well, I haven't. The algorithm has not been bringing them to me, so I've been getting. Really
I'm glad. I'm so glad. We have Liz is here. Hello, Liz. Welcome. She is saying good morning to everybody. Okay, so I have a little Instagram reels to show you before our topic, and today's topic is going to be like, how do you? It's like nowadays it is so hard to find the right words to say things and to describe things without people just freaking the frick out or immediately going, "You used AI," and the witch hunt begins. So let me pull this up because I think it's adorable. Yes, this is on Instagram on a photography page, Claire Foley Photography, and it's I think.
Who's muted?
Oh no, I muted the song because I don't want to get the copyright hit. But basically, it's photographers trying to write captions for our pictures without getting arrested on an FBI watch list and stuff like that. And it's just repeatedly them trying to find the right words to say. And this is literally the author's struggle daily.
Can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
I can't hear you.
I hear her just fine.
Can you hear me now?
Apparently not.
Okay, Eva says she can hear me.
Yeah, so maybe MDB
I don't hear you
should.
either, Sako.
Oh.
I can't hear you. So can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Oh,
We can hear you.
You can hear me, but I can't hear you guys.
Yeah.
What is happening?
It looks like Eva can hear all three of us. Hi, Eva.
I still don't. Can viewers hear us? Okay. Why would I not be able to hear you?
Sako suggests dropping out, coming back in.
Let's see. I'm gonna pop out and pop back in.
It wouldn't be a breaking the block without technical difficulties at some point. So yeah, it's it is hard to say things, especially for neurodivergent writers. We struggle with it, and now there's this whole thing of, because neurodivergent writers have a specific cadence to their writing. Evidently, AI has a cadence to that writing too, which I posted that on my last Substack. You saw me ranting about everybody going, "You use AI." No, I have a damaged brain. I just write differently.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I hear things.
Yay!
I put in my earbuds just in case. So.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. Sorry about that.
Yeah. No. So yeah, it's there's a lot of things, and there are recently spiraling around is they're talking about how descriptors, how there's, and we're pushing back into this thing that was in like the mid 2010s, early 2010s, mid 2010s, where they're like, stop using so many descriptors, stop using so many similes, stop adverbs and adjectives and all the ly words. You need to go away from your writing. And it's like, as writers, we work so hard to craft these perfect images. You both have which way am I pointing? I don't know which way I'm pointing. My co-host both have such lovely descriptive writers, and I'm so happy to have them here today to talk about this. How do you feel about this white room paper doll push toward books for word conservancy and word use efficiency, and as things that don't really work to the author mind or to the reader mind, for that matter of fact? Talk to us.
It's interesting because I recently saw a YouTube video that was talking about, kind of like the less is more. You got to leave more to the reader's imagination, and so don't be overly descriptive. And I'm like, at what point are we just writing like bullet points? Like, and then the reader is inventing. If the reader could invent the whole thing in their mind, they wouldn't go to movies and they wouldn't read books. They would just imagine vividly their own stories, right? But that's not what storytellers are here for. Storytellers are here to paint the picture in the listener or reader's or viewer's mind. And we do that with words. We do that with tone. We do that with, all of the tools in our toolbox to create an atmosphere, a setting, a time, place, and emotion within another person that we will never see, that we've never met, and we're planting ideas in their head. We're putting pictures in their head. And we're doing that with our word choice, with our ability to string words one in front of the other. And there are always going to be critics. There's always going to be somebody saying, oh, don't, you're doing it wrong. Don't do it that way. But in the end, who's going to decide? It's going to be, people vote with their pocketbook. The books that people buy are going to be the books that continue to thrive. And the site, and it's going to be cyclical. The different things are going to be more popular now than they were, last week. There's always going to be something that the market is going to continue to as readers still gravitate towards a new type of way of telling the same old story, because we're all telling the same old story. We're all still sending people on a hero's journey or a heroine's journey, a journey of discovery, a journey of, it's all about the journey. We want to read about the journey, and we want to know some of us want to know about every rock and pebble that's on that path, and some of us don't. So if you don't like the ones that have, all of the minutia shoved in there, you're not going to read that. And if you're somebody who wants to just read a white page, then that. And in the end, none of that criticism is going to matter to the readers who read our stuff and to the way that we write our stories, because we're going to write the stories that resonate with the people who want them. And that's the bottom line. It doesn't really matter, what people are freaking out about this week or next week or what have you.
I think that's well put. I write fantasy. That's my setting, right? But I write horror in that setting. And horror is concise. It is how much punch can you put into a sentence to evoke an emotion, right? So I still use ly words. I do use active voice to really punch it up. And I don't want to start every sentence with their name or I, depending on what tense or perspective I'm putting it at. But yeah, the bottom line is we want to evoke emotion. If you're writing an epic, people are gonna expect all those descriptions. Like, they want you to build the world, but there are a lot of authors that just dump their world building into the book and in a prologue or something that is super long, and I usually skip the prologues because the most world building that I do is what do they interact with, right? So I don't know what I'm trying to say. The choice of words when you're writing horror is to offend people, is to make their skin crawl, is to make
evocative. It's got to be
right. Right. So an expert at doing description that does evoke emotion is Laura Nettles.
Laura is very good at finding the creepiness.
She inspires dread in her descriptions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is a task and a skill set that is admired, you know.
It's funny because I'm thinking about, like, as far as word efficiency. I mean, Oscar Wilde famously said, "Brevity is the soul of wit." But if you watch, like, the importance of being earnest, there's a lot of words in that. But the
Hmm.
words are doing a lot of heavy lifting, and that, I think, was his point. If you can pack a lot of meaning and uh just a kind of, because words also have gravity, and words have, like we were talking about with horror, the evocative nature of a word choice is really important. And you don't need, if you have one word that can sum up 5 words of description, we always want to go there. But we don't want austerity. Our we want our words to do the double, the work of setting a mood, creating an emotion, and also giving the most accurate portrayal of what our character is going through, or what the setting is evoking for the reader. And so sometimes, if you have too much, if we're not Dickens, we're not being paid by the word anymore. So having lots and lots of words, word vomit all over the page, that could be summed up in a much pithier statement. We always want to go for the pithy statement, but we don't want just, white space. We don't want this a work that is devoid of anything that gives it the character and nature of what we're trying to convey.
But is okay. I've been accused of using AI multiple times because I have the words apricity, which means the warmth of sunlight in winter, or feeling the warmth of the sun on your face after leaving a cold place. And I use apoplectic, which is the old meaning of apoplectic as someone who is about to have a seizure. The more recent meaning is someone who is on the verge of raging, just having this raging fit, and they're so angry that they're literally shaking. So I use these 2 words. But now
I use it in common conversation.
But now we have this thing where, and this is a terrifying statistic. 52% of Americans on average read at a 6th grade or lower level. 23% of Americans are functionally illiterate. So it's like, and so I just watched Pursuit of Jade, which it is currently the most popular C drama around, and the sets are beautiful, the story's great. I could have used like 2 more episodes, but that's neither here nor there. But one of the characters in there, Chen Yu Fang, Chen Yu is almost functionally illiterate, and now the Chinese language, like learning Mandarin or Cantonese, instead of having the alphabet, there's literally thousands of word symbols that you have to learn. And there's this thing where Zhang is trying to he wrote down something for her to memorize to say, and she circled over half of the things on the page, and she's like, I don't know what this one is. And he's like, why did you draw all these red circles? Why did you draw all these eggs? And she's like, I don't know what they mean. I don't know what these are. And this is what is happening in our society. And last time, when Michael Dawn and I were together, we were talking about her husband is an middle school teacher, and part of his kids are illiterate. The children from the Pandy are illiterate. And then we for decades, we've been teaching to the test in our school system. No Child Left Behind resulted in every child left behind. And there's the trend is now, and this is the thing with cell phones, you can snap a picture of anything in any language and your phone will read it to you. So you don't have to be able to read your own language in your own country. You don't even have to know that language, because someone will tell it to you. Your smartphone will tell it to you in words you understand. And so this word efficiency trend is a terrifying double-bladed sword, because publishers want to save pages, they want to save ink, they want to save shipping cost when they're sending out these books or uploading these books, because digital files have size, and that if you are on the different royalty tiers, so for those of you who don't know, if you're on the different royalty tiers, Amazon, Ingram Spark, Barnes and Nobles, they charge the authors a percentage of their royalties to upload this data. So the word efficiency trend is that reason. But the other reason is because people won't buy books with words they don't understand. And I did see a Reddit thread about this. I should have bookmarked it, but I didn't, about people who, if they read the sample section of an ebook or the first few pages of a paper book, and there are words they don't understand. Now, I know all three of us, if we see a word we don't understand, we're like, where's the dictionary?
Where's the
Ooh.
dictionary?
What are my context clues?
Since we were children, we did that.
Mm-hmm.
But the majority
Thesaurus,
the majority of people now, they see one or two or three words they don't know in the first few pages, first chapter of a book, and they're not going to read that book.
I'm okay with that.
And it's like I want to share my book with everyone, but the OCD goal brain, very specific, finicky part of my brain, wants things described in a certain way.
And and that's fine. There is an audience for that. And just because there is not an audience for that doesn't mean that, you can't continue to do what you do. They're not the literary writers. I can tell you this, the literary writers are not going to change the way that they write. And, they're going to continue to write elevated sentences and use all of the words that, way more words than what we use. So it's really a matter, because there are so many genres, there's so many paths to publishing, there's so many different ways of writing, and there's so many different readers out there. I think the big question is not whether these people who can't read are not going to read my book. I'm not going to be upset about that. I think we should do something to because writing and reading and alphabets, this is a technology that we don't want to necessarily lose. The technology is in the midst of a shift. We are moving into a whole new paradigm of how people gain information.
Yeah.
But I don't think that reading and writing is ever going to go away. I mean, we've been doing it since cuneiform, so that's not going to go away. But the way that we interact with that might have to shift, and that's okay. I don't think it's going to impact us. I don't think it's going to impact how our, whatever the latest, AI debacle might be. There's only so much that we can do about it, and there's only so much of an impact it can have. I mean, it's already impacted. My books were used in that big Anthropic, scrape. I'm not going to get a dime out of it,
Yeah, and that's the thing that drives me crazy about the Anthropic case. We won. Writers won. Mm-hmm. But in order to get the pay, and everybody was like, oh, we're going to get a payout, $5,000 per book that was scraped. But the problem is you have to prove the page and paragraph that was used for something else. So while they decreed this great settlement, they made it nearly impossible, like 98% impossible, for authors to go, here is where they took my, Don can't say, here is my book. This is what they put in their machine. That doesn't matter. And under the new legislation that the current administration, them all, are trying to pass, nothing put into AIs to train them is copyright claimable.
And a lot of this stuff, I
Literally.
think, especially stuff that's going on with the current, not to get like heavily political, but I think a lot of the things that are being done under the current administration are not going to stand in the next like 4 to 5 years. So like there's a lot of stuff that right now it might sound really scary and inflammatory, but I really have a wait and see, because like
Yeah.
sure they say that, but what's really going to happen? And you know, how will that actually effectively impact me and my writing? And I know that the stuff that I'm writing is good. I know that that there's an audience for it. I know that there is that the time is right for the stuff that I'm writing. So I'm sanguine about all of it, because it's like the people who make the biggest fuss are the people who, it's just kind of like, you know, it's that apoplectic thing. They're going to have their fit and then it's going to go away. The loudest voices aren't necessarily the most impactful voices. And so I think it's more important that we kind of keep our eye, stay the course, know what our lane is and stay in that lane, and not worry unless someone actually veers into our lane. You know, if we're worried about what's happening down the highway or like what's happening in 4 lanes over, it's gonna keep us off of our own course.
Yeah, they're having an amazing discussion in the chat about children left to struggle. You know, if the child is struggling, give them an IEP. Move them to the next grade. My daughter, my eldest is autistic, and we actually held her back a grade because of her emotional, not because of her school level
intelligence,
but because of her emotional intelligence, we held her back.
Yeah, I have a child that is, you know, intellectually could definitely advance a grade, but we don't want to do that because emotionally they aren't ready for that. So it's really we've got kids that are being raised by two generations, one that was completely left behind. You know, I mean, Gen X was just left to our own defenses, and millennials were given participation trophies, right? So here we are, this generation, the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas. I don't know who the Gen Cs are, but the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas are being raised in kind of this wild west of parenthood, where you have parents who had to parent themselves and are so, you know, and then you have parents who, you know, were kind of given extra special advantages. So it's a really weird situation. And did we lose
Maggie froze, so she's restarting,
rebooting. Okay.
So poor Ava. I'm the Oregon Trail generation, so half of my upbringing was latchkey kid, go play outside, beat 'em till she bleeds kind of upbringing, and then computers and video games and writing on something other than a typewriter, you know. So I was considered gifted, right? I wasn't put ahead or held back, and I instead was in a special class for more creative people. And that system, that Signet tag sort of system doesn't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
There's advanced placement. And my poor niece, who is 13 right now, she is under the pressure. She is also gifted. And so she is in all she's in all advanced classes, and she's afraid that if she falters just a little bit, everything will fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
And that pressure should not be put on our kids.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because on the one hand, we have historically, especially like, in the West, treated children like they are not human.
Autonomous.
Yeah, the non-autonomous, but at the same time having adult expectations of them. So we treat them like they're not human, and then we expect them to act like adults, like mini adults. And it's like neither of those. And so for me, like with my kids, I have been very conscious of treating them as autonomous human beings, and to give them to explain to them what their options are so that they can make their own choice, so that it's not me dictating to them, you're going to do it because I say so. I want them to do it because this is what their own inner, guidance is leading them to. I definitely facilitate good choices for them, and help them to make good choices. But I don't want to make those choices for them so that when they become adults, they don't know how to make a choice, So yeah, let's see. There was a question about IEPs. So the individualized education plan, basically, especially for a child that has special needs, or a diagnosis like autism or ADHD, they will get a plan for themselves that the teachers can kind of, like they might need extra time to are you frozen? Oh no, you're not. You were just very, very still for a moment there. I was like, I'm by myself. No, but basically it is a good thing because I have some kids that cannot sit still. They have ADHD. My kids are all somewhere on the autism spectrum, and so like for my middle kid, having the ability to get extra time to finish assignments, or to be able to get up and walk around as long as he's not disruptive, but he needs to be able to do that. Having that in his plan is helpful for him. So let's see, what other comments? So Eva, you did a lot of in the gifted program. Yeah, there's some really cool stuff. The same kid who has an IEP was also like, in the STEM program and able to go to NASA and build a robot. He was selected to be the kid that got to build the robot. So, it's just because a kid has an IEP doesn't mean that they're not smart. It just means that they have things that need to be accounted for in their education. And I think that that's also because education is such a huge, massive topic for me. Kids aren't as well as being humans, autonomous humans, they're also not cookie cutters. And so one size fits all education is not great for anybody. I struggled so much in school, and I wasn't diagnosed with my ADHD or the autism until I was an adult. So if I had an IEP, I could have done so much better in school, but I think I still would have not liked school because it wasn't it didn't feed me the way that just
my parents taught me way more than school ever did. So, like, medieval history was at home, and that influences my. So, I was born into the Society of Creative Anachronism, which is medieval reenactment.
Yeah.
And so I lived fantasy, you know, so that feeds into my writing in a lot of ways. And parents in Gen Z aren't really doing that.
Yeah.
So these poor kids are, and they don't go outside. They play on their Switch, and wear headphones and just kind of like keep to themselves. They're not very social, especially after the pandemic. Holy crap.
Yeah. I think we're going to see, I think we will reach a point where we're going to see the pendulum swing back, though, because right now, you know, we have a generation that's gone very insular, and there's going to be an explosion outward again, because the pendulum always swings, right? And you had the gross freedom of Gen X, which was nigh on neglect, right? And now it's neglect, but in a different way, where it's educational neglect, you know. But we're gonna find a balance at some point. You know, it's gonna keep swinging until we find that sweet spot, and being aware of what is it that we really want to see. And we want to see curiosity. We want to see more. Like my
creativity and curiosity.
Yes, we want curiosity. We want excitement and enthusiasm about anything, you know. I mean, I have a kid that's all about Pokemon, and another one that's all about Minecraft and Plants vs. Zombies. And
those are skills. Those games develop skills that will aid them when they're older.
Well, and my youngest, who is obsessed with Minecraft and Plants vs. Zombies, turns that into making his own, like, drawing and creating his own images and writing his own stories. For his birthday, we got him an old, like, 1973 typewriter, because that's what he wanted. And he sits there, and I'll hear him clacking away on his typewriter, and he's 7. So, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So but it's about giving them opportunities. You don't force kids to sit down and do a thing. You give them opportunities to experience things. You know, my youngest is my biggest reader. My oldest two, they like to read. The middle kid, reading is a little bit hard for him, but he loves, like, you know, Percy Jackson. So if you find the thing that he wants to read, he'll read it. But it's just a matter of giving the example, you know, leading by example. You're back! Yay!
Power went out for like 5 minutes.
Oh my God. Oh, wow.
And then the internet was not coming back, and I was like, Mary Jesus and the donkey.
Well, welcome back.
Yes, we kept talking.
We kept talking.
I appreciate it.
Holding down the fort. Yeah.
Yes. Teach kids how to think instead of what to think, and that is so.
Yes.
That is just so important, because and that was actually something that my parents did. You know, for all of the drawbacks of the parenting that I received, one of the things that I really appreciate is that even though I went to school, they kind of raised me like an unschooler. They very much were. So unschooling is basically the idea that children, because we are human, we learn. We can't help it. That's our thing. And if we'll put things in front of kids, like my parents would take us to the like at very young ages. We were going to art museums. We were going to the Museum of Natural History. We were going to all of the places where learning would naturally happen. And so I've tried to do the same thing with my kids, and also just not telling them what to think, but maybe saying what I think and then asking them what they think, and having a discussion about it, and not turning it into a lecture, but more of a conversation.
My husband is a college professor, and he is dealing with No Child Left Behind, like the effects of No Child Left Behind. So there is this entitlement that they feel like they're paying, therefore they are entitled to a certain kind of teaching. My husband teaches how to think and has them making their own decisions. He is not an art director, which a lot of teachers are. And hopefully so the best review he ever got from a student was, "I was treated like an adult and it was awesome." So
Yeah.
college professors are not, like, there are a lot of college professors that are not, they are art directing rather than teaching how to think, how to be conceptual. So we're kind of hamstringing the kids.
See, growing up Gen X, I mean, I was one of those kids that the parents were like, leave the house, take your siblings, don't come back until it's dark.
Right.
And when you grow up with your brain training you, this is consequence in action, this is how you do this thing. And then you jump down 2 generations where children are kept in safe house boxes with safe little electrical house pads to look at, and everything is literally spoon fed into. Like, I take my children on adventures. Even when they were little, I was like, let's go climb that mountain, let's go do this, let's go let's go find rocks in the Great Sand Dunes. And we'll go look for things, and okay, this is the path everyone's taking. We're going to go over here. But now we have a generation of readers who, this is the path that everyone is taking. So this is what, read. I want to read this. I want to read the same as this. And like, I'm sorry, but as much as I used to love morally gray shadow daddies, they've become the basic white bitch of the book world. I hate to just be that person. I hate to be the book Karen. but yeah. I wished I was treated. Yeah, I've literally been the adult since I was 6 years old.
Me too.
I was the adult in my family. Yeah. Up further up somewhere.
The parentified child is a whole other. That's a whole other.
Yeah.
It's a whole other thing. It's a whole other bag.
Do you think that led to that dystopia trend where they had teenagers saving the world back when in the late 90s and early 2000s, when things like the Hunger Games and Insurgent and all of those were coming out, where because we were children,
even Harry Potter came back.
We were children who had to be adults, and so now these children acting as adults started a whole dystopia genre.
Right.
That's a really interesting point.
City
Now, as
of
far as young
Bones
people
and
changing the
Fall of
world,
Angels.
that
and
goes way back. I mean, it's all because children are always looked at as the future, the next generation. So having a child and little child shall lead them, it like that goes way back. You know, that phrase itself is 2,000 years old. You know, but if we look at, you know, like the Chronicles of Narnia, if we look at even
Never-ending
with,
Story.
Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
Never-ending Story. Lord of the Rings, Frodo was a young hobbit when all of this happened. He was, you know, even though he was 33 years old, he was considered, you know, a young adult.
He was a teenager. He and Samwise and Merry and Pippin were all young teenagers.
Yeah. So it's a very the idea of you need the fresh, the new wineskin, so to speak. I don't know why I keep going to like religious language, but you know, it's this concept that young people have a fresh new perspective and old people are already stuck in their ways. They are doing it the way that they're doing it, and that's why things are bad. And so it takes a young person coming in to be the fresh new perspective. Now, as far as dystopians are concerned, that's probably a direct correlation to Gen X latchkey kids. Life sucks. We literally our genre defining, generation defining movie was Reality Bites. Like that was literally the name of the movie that defines our generation.
Or Kids. The movie Kids.
Like, The Breakfast Club, everyone was like, oh, I loved that movie. I'm like, I go to school with them. I don't want to go to the movies to see them.
Yeah.
I mean, and like Red Dawn, the original Red Dawn, not the new one that sucks. The original Red Dawn. This was like, I mean,
we lived under the cloud of that was our fear.
We were raised to this is going to happen. Mad Max. This was our future, and it was just like, you know,
and we were right.
Fictionalized trauma. They were fictionalizing the manifestations of our trauma. The Terminator. The Terminator and everyone, and it's a big topic now. Everybody's talking about it because Skynet should have been created 10 years ago, and the end of the world.
We're dealing with it.
the end of the world from Skynet is 2038? Is it 2038 or 2032? Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
In the next decade is you know, and it's like, you know, we watch these things and we're like. Let's sigh. And so it's like, you know, and it comes out in our books, and maybe it's not Skynet that causes in the end of that devours all of humanity. Maybe like in my books, it's this interdimensional entity literally called the Devourer that is like that consumes everything it can, you know, and you know, maybe that's
that's an interesting point because like the literature that we're writing now, what I'm writing, for instance, instead of having the one single person who's the center of, you know, instead of the Katniss Everdeen or the whatever her name is in Divergent, instead of the one person who is the catalyst for the movement and everything hinges on that one person. Yeah, the desks would save us. In my books, it's community, it's family. It's like they're all, there is no one, like every single one of my books has a different person's name on the cover, you know, and that's intentional. That it's intentional that every single one of my books features a different person in this whole huge, you know, and it's still told from multiple perspectives because everybody counts. Everybody is, you know, working together.
Everybody has that potential to be the hero or the villain.
We're all the hero of our own story.
And it's like,
you know,
like, well,
even
like
the villain is the hero of their own story.
And it's you know, and not everybody, and the other thing we learned is we literally grew up in the serial killer generation. Everybody is like, no. Yeah, we literally did. I remember, I can't one of them. We were driving back home from going to the grocery store in another town, and we literally drove by that John guy who killed like 200 women. He was walking out of the woods and there was like smoke coming out of the woods. And like a week later, they found a woman's body burned there. And he waved at us to slow us down, to like flag us down to get a ride. But my mom's like, I've got all 4 kids in the back. I don't have room. And she just kept going. And it was just like, and my friend Stephanie, her mother went to the grocery store and vanished. Gone. And later turns out that she had been snatched by a serial killer from the grocery store parking lot. And they didn't know for like 12 years, and they still don't know where her body is. They still don't. He doesn't remember where he dumped it. So,
yeah.
it's a thing, and it's like
DC
so
sniper.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm following a guy who is doing the Croatian genocide, and he's talking about the Kosovo sniper, where, literally for like a year period, 14 months, people would be walking around outside and someone would just get shot. Yeah. And now they have found out that it was like 28 different people that were on hunting tours. Like the super rich elite were on hunting tours to hunt people in a war zone because, what else will the rich and elite have to do? It was crazy. So we nonchalantly saw a serial killer. Yeah, basically. And it's like so we need all, back to our topic of word efficiency, we need all the words to describe everything, that not just the things we experienced, but anything we try to expect. So we need all those words to express our hope that, we can overcome the devouring entity and the shadows. We need this to express our hope that we can overcome the Sauron of our generation. And it's like, that is the way we write. So it becomes,
by putting it out there, by putting our writing out there, young people will find it. They will find it, and they will be, we can teach them through our writing, Well,
I think the most validating thing that has ever happened to me was with Apostasy, which is only available on my Inkitt page. It's about a violent patriarchal society. And with where are they? Revenant and Enemies. Millie was a horrible abuse survivor. She was lucky. She got, after her mother killed her siblings and the stepdad that was abusing her, she testified and she was adopted by a pediatrician and a child psychologist. But she still has trauma. And it's like when I first got an editor, when I was publishing this book, I got it farmed out. And my first editor was like, I want you to take out all the therapy references. Oh. And I was like, because people don't want to read about that. And I do. And then I'm not kidding, but this was like 8 years ago. Oh. This was like 8 years ago. And then I was like, no. And so I fought for it. I didn't do the editors always right. I fought for it because the therapy is a fundamental thing to the character. And it's like this, but the most rewarding thing is I've had people reach out to me in my DMs, in my private messages, and say, I think I need to talk to my family about this. I think I need to talk to a therapist about this. And, my abuse trauma going into my writing filtered into, and the abuse trauma of other people I knew filtered into and touched someone who had never spoken about their own trauma. And if I had cut those couple thousand words out about Millie's therapy in the first book, if I didn't talk about that, then where would we, this person who had an epiphany, a painful epiphany through literature, they're reading a book, where would they be? I mean, I love the fact that I portray Jackson Harper and Mitchell Abernathy as a real couple, long-term gay couple who have a child, and that people have said, I never looked at the gays that way. They never looked at them as being, that's fundamentalist Christian view, as being good people, being real people and good parents, being long-term relationship and good parents.
Mm-hmm.
I've literally had this discussion with 4 different uber Christian Southern women, that it had never occurred to them that gay people could have long-term relationships. Never occurred to them, because they are fed the lie that the entire LGBT community is promiscuous and they don't have long-term relationships. And I'm like, I know gays that have been together like 30 years. They've got that dream marriage and never been apart kind of a thing going on, or that they could be good parents. The idea that they could be good parents.
Yeah. Because devotion is a human characteristic, not a heterosexual one.
I will say this. I am one of the lucky ones, because I only know 3 other couples in my communities that are my age or younger that have been married as long as me and my husband. Most of my kids' friends are from blended families, sometimes 3rd or 4th marriage blended families. You want to talk about stress of impermanence. That happens.
Stress of impermanence that should be in a whole other.
Yeah, let's go back to a light topic. Eva has a light topic. Have you ever made up words?
I don't.
I write sci-fi fantasy, so I have to have like made up words. Like I use the term genosaur for my genetically revived dinosaurs, but I'm not the only person who uses that term. It's up all over the place. I do have other terms that I use. In the Book of Elo, I had to make up so many words because it's an alien planet. But yeah.
I tend to make up words just in everyday language, but I'm susical like that. So. Well, my husband is constantly getting on me for verbing my nouns, because I do that too.
I do that a lot. But I think that's a generational thing too, though. Although I will say that a lot of the Gen Alphas, nouns become verbs and verbs become nouns depending on their needs. It's like they when like they're talking or anything like that, grammar rules, gone.
And once again, language is an ever evolving thing. And, when we start to get really, it's funny, the more pedantic we become about language rules is almost a reflection on how pedantic we are about societal rules. And, I guess a Nazi is a Nazi is a Nazi. If you're a grammar Nazi, you just might be an actual one. So
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. And Karenism, like I said last time, Karenism is a mental flu. Karenism and Toddism are mental flus that affect so many, and they don't even realize it. They feel so justified, and it's like,
entitlement. It is also attempting to exert control over things that you have no business attempting to control. And I think that goes back to the whole concept that Sacco brought up about autonomy. When we start to recognize that we ourselves are autonomous, and we give everyone around us the grace of also being autonomous, we will have fewer Karens. We will not have to worry about fascism. We will not have, because when we start to realize that we cannot control other people, we should not control other people. The only thing we should control is ourselves. And when we begin to control ourselves as a society, we will move into an era where we have less of, encroachment upon one another.
People, if someone has a different opinion than you, they have a different opinion than you. It's not like they're going to stab you in the eye.
Yes.
It's yeah. Language is a living thing, and it's like, and we talked about this 2 weeks ago. They have had this study done that we have affected AIs. We've taught AIs, and now they're teaching us. Mm-hmm. They're training us. So yeah, language continues. We have the American language, Australian language, the English root languages, because American English is no longer English. Australian English is no longer English. It is something different. And it's because we have so many words blended together from so many different languages. And it's going to continue changing. I mean, the fact that Xerox was a product name and now it's a verb and a noun both. Mm-hmm. Skyping is a verb and a noun both. Texting.
Yeah.
All of these technology things have become verbs or nouns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. You don't have to like mine. Just respect the fact that I am entitled to it as I'm, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, Middle English.
Middle English, yeah.
Well, so the funny thing about the customer is always right is that the way that phrase has evolved away from what it was originally being used as. When the customer is always right was first being used, it was to indicate, let the customer have the thing however they say. If the customer wants mayonnaise on this thing that you would never put mayonnaise on, the customer is always right. It wasn't to say that if the customer says that you did something wrong because, and now you owe them, it's not the same thing.
It's become a colloquialism that's gotten twisted from the original intent. It's like, okay, a wise men think alike is the colloquialism everyone hears. But the end of that is, but fools' thoughts never differ.
Yeah.
So, and it's like, what is it? The cat one. Curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back.
Yep. Or blood is thicker than the water of the covenant.
Yeah. The blood is thicker than water has become this thing that is like family above all, but that's not what it meant ever. Because it's the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, which means those that are your found family, those that are your brothers of war,
the people you
are
make
more
vows
important
to.
than your birth family. Mm-hmm. And so, where is that? Oh, hospitality turned into enabling. Yeah, and now it's to the point like I saw a woman throw a glass across a restaurant.
Whoa.
Like, throw a glass across a restaurant. You're at freaking IHOP. If your bacon is overcooked, just send it back.
Yeah.
You don't
if
need
you were
to.
At Waffle House, I could totally understand. That's how we play at Waffle House.
Oh, you don't do that at Waffle House. Waffle House employees kick your ass.
Yeah, exactly. I'm saying at Waffle House, they'll
Yeah.
pay back.
This doesn't mean customers get to, like there was a time when I was working in the pharmacy where we had a guy, he tried to slap me because the doctors denied his medication because we had found out that he was getting a certain sleep aid from like 5 different pharmacies. And this was not, it had not been declared a scheduled drug yet. It was eventually declared a Schedule 5 drug, but it wasn't a scheduled drug yet. And he tried to slap me. I jerked back. I grabbed the phone to yell for security and for the manager to come back to the pharmacy. And he stormed down to the end where my clerk was. And before I could yell at her to get away from the counter, he sucker punched her in the face and broke her nose.
Whoa.
Knocked her unconscious. Fortunately, one of my Army guys from Fort Carson was sitting there waiting for eardrops for his son, and he put the guy on the floor.
Yeah.
Immediately. And then the police came, but no, he was addicted to one of the medication, and it's now no longer on the market because it causes overdosing on it causes psychotic episodes. But this. It's this idea that, yes, when you're in a customer service role, you have to provide certain amounts of things, but also you're not allowed to demand ridiculous amounts of things in return. The thing you get what you pay for does not mean that you are allowed to physically assault, verbally abuse, or throw things. And it's but then, if we're going to take that into the author space, it's this idea of someone buys a book and then they return the book when they're done reading it.
And that is sour.
Some crap excuse like, I didn't like how it ended. I didn't like how this one character was portrayed. And because of the
library, man,
because of the return policies for what was it, 3 years ago, Sako and I, we were talking about this, you and me and Charlie, and oh my God, I can't remember there was 8 people in this discussion about how there was this thing going around TikTok that if you can't afford Kindle, just buy the book and return it and get a different book. And people were using this they were using Kindle ebooks as just like a lending library without realizing that then the authors, I have to pay more than the cost of the book, because we have to pay not only for the book, we not only have to pay for the entire cost of the book, we also have to add the additional download upload fee.
Mm-hmm.
So completely unscrupulous, and to get away with it. We had a woman killed at a Steak and Shake in St. Louis. Oh, that's terrible. Yeah. The car in the drive-thru, those over onion rings. It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, it's road rage, domestic violence were punchlines in the 80s. And people just thought the audacity was okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
we're in an age where we're becoming more aware of our autonomy and wanting to exert our autonomy at the same time that it's crashing up against other people, thinking that means that they get to take some of your autonomy.
Right.
So it's a really weird stage that, late stage capitalism is a strange place to be.
Yeah. And like everybody saw in the news the guy that burned the warehouse. Yeah. The topic. What was the topic again? Made up words. Yeah. The guy that burned the warehouse. And he was like, if they would just pay us a living wage. But he San Diego, he burned the entire warehouse. And it was like, holy, So,
But you know what?
yeah,
It brings awareness to the fact that people are being exploited. You know?
Yeah, and it's like, I'm going to do something that I know that probably only a few people know, but this. Do you know what this means? Just holding up a piece of white paper.
Mm-mm.
If you are in China, this is holding up a blank white sheet of paper. This is protesting against what they call the 996. The 996 is 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. That is their work life. Yeah. That is their work life for years. And because of the way contracts and stuff work there, if you work for them, you sign a contract, you have to pay your employer a penalty if you quit. There are people currently right now, because the Chinese economy has crashed and burned in the last 18 months, that have not been paid in over a year. But if they quit their job, they will not get any of their back pay. So they are stuck going to a job, doing a job, not getting paid, getting doled out little fractions of payments. It's terrifying. Yeah, the spoons as emotional capability, that's a new term. Yeah, we're all using spoons. Yep. But there's so many different ways to express this. And I mean, we used to never say, tell me the 411.
Yeah.
And it's like, the what? And okay, so everyone talks about 6-7. Do you know what 6-7 is? 6-7 means nonsense. It means nonsense and a nonsensical thing that causes stress.
Yeah.
And literally there's things right now where kids will see a thing on TikTok or Reels, or it's not Vine. What is it? I don't know, these short platforms. And like there's a school district that actually had to ban kids from saying 6-7, because if the teacher would say it's time for a pop quiz, they would all start chanting 6-7, 6-7.
Oh.
And it's like, words have power, words have meaning. And this idea, coming back down to our original topic of word efficiency, the idea of limiting them, of banning books, of saying just do the bare minimum to tell the story, and that's all we want.
Well, that's all that person wants, and whoever is part of that movement. There's such a small, narrow band of people, and they don't get to dictate what everybody else wants. They don't get to. They don't have a, like, they're trying to make it sound like they have a say. They don't. So let them say whatever ridiculousness they want to say. And if there are people who want to read stuff like that and write stuff like that, let them have their happy little white blank page, a word efficient life. They're probably engineers, and that's fine.
and those of us who use all the purple prose and all the descriptors and all the flamboyant archaic words,
there will always be an audience for that. There will always be an audience for the purple.
And hey, it's like we must be doing something right. The AIs want to copy us. I said it. Okay. I think we're winding down. down. Okay.
We're drifting away from the topic.
We have once again gone back into We've once again wandered into the breaking the block chaos land, as we always do, because I'm going to have to go back and put so many notes in the stream description.
It wanders. It meanders.
We are the Oxbow of AuthorTube. Who's that? Saka, would you like?
I early on said brevity is the soul of wit, and we did this. This was a very non-witty podcast.
Okay. We've got an hour and 15, so it's a lovely day. I hope all of you have a wonderful time. If you would like to do your outro, Sako, and then Michael Don will be next, and I'll go last.
Okay. Hi, folks. I'm Sako Toomey. I write horror under the name Cass Voight. I wear a lot of hats. I am self-published 6 times over. And I also have a couple of podcasts. Sako and the Moon airs
I'm enjoying
on
those so much. I'm enjoying those
Friday.
so much.
So if you are a horror writer or you want to get into horror writing, that is the topic of Sako and the Moon horror podcast. But you can find me on Substack, you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Blue Sky, Facebook, etc., etc., etc. So I am Sako Toomey, also known as Psycho Sako. Google those names and you'll find all my stuff. Drop a line sometime. I would love to see you.
And I am Michael Don Brooks. I am Michael Don Brooks everywhere. My book, Misty, Fairchild, and the Heart of Alignment, is going live this Wednesday, April 15th. It is available for pre-order now. It's on Kindle Unlimited. You can find it everywhere at my link, which Maggie will have to allow me to post. Adam Rowan and The Heart of the Mountain, Book 2, is also available for pre-order. It will go live on May 15th. And Book 3 will be available on June 15th. And watch for announcements for that. Currently I'm not podcasting very much. I do have my story starters on my Michael Don Brooks channel. Which I'm hoping to start up again. Sako and I were doing that, and we had a lot of fun.
I'm still in.
That. And we will do that again as soon as we figure out what our schedules will allow. So
yeah,
yes, for that.
I am your host, Mama Maggie Ward, independent author, stroke survivor, and one of the more prolific writers you've never heard of. It was fun today. Thank you all for hanging out after my power went out. I appreciate it. And we'll see you all next week.
Yay, bye.